The vastness of space had never felt so oppressive to Maya Sinclair as it did now, confined in a transport cell aboard an alien vessel. Through the small viewing port, countless stars glimmered against the infinite darkness, each one a reminder of how far she was from home. A former Special Forces operative who had survived 3 tours in the North African conflict zones, Maya had faced death many times. But this was different. This was a fight she had never trained for. 2 solar cycles ago, her scientific expedition to investigate an anomalous signal on Europa had gone catastrophically wrong. What they thought was a natural phenomenon turned out to be a cloaked scout ship from the Planetary Alliance, a vast coalition of advanced civilizations that had been observing Earth from the shadows for decades. Maya and her team had been in the wrong place at the wrong time. The Alliance, not ready to officially contact Earth, had eliminated all witnesses except Maya. Something about her had caught their interest, and instead of a quick death, she'd been classified as a specimen and transported to this vessel. Primitive species, a multi-limbed guard had sneered as he passed her cell earlier, won't last 5 minutes in the Kandavar. Maya had learned enough in her captivity to understand what awaited her. The Kandavar Arena was the Alliance's most prestigious and brutal entertainment venue, a place where various species were forced to battle deadly creatures and environmental hazards for the amusement of the galactic elite. Humans were considered barely above vermin in the Alliance hierarchy, suitable only for the lowest forms of entertainment. The cell doors suddenly hissed open. 2 guards entered, tall, slender beings with opalescent skin and 4 arms each, Coraxians. Maya had learned to identify them by their distinctive mandible structures and cold, calculating eyes. "Time to prove your worth, Earth creature," one of them said, his translator device producing flat, emotionless English. "Though I doubt you'll provide much sport." Maya didn't struggle as they secured her wrists with energy binders. Fighting now would be pointless. She needed to conserve her strength to observe, to plan. The survival skills that had kept her alive in war zones would be her only advantage here. They led her through winding corridors of gleaming metal and pulsing light. Other alien spectators and officials stopped to stare at her with expressions ranging from curiosity to disgust. Maya focused on memorizing the layout, noting security measures, identifying potential weaknesses. It was what she had been trained to do. They entered a vast antechamber where various beings were being prepared for the arena. Some were clearly warriors, boasting impressive musculature and natural weapons. Others appeared to be criminals or prisoners like herself, marked for death in the name of entertainment. An official approached a floating gelatinous creature with multiple eye stalks protruding from its translucent body. "Processing for Arena Match 37B. It gurgled through its translator. "Human female Terra origin designated expendable." The guards pushed Maya toward a weapon rack where various instruments of death were displayed. Most were clearly designed for beings with different anatomy than hers. Too heavy, too many grips. Requiring appendages she didn't possess. "Choose," the official ordered. Maya scanned the array. Her military training screamed that none of these weapons suited her size or fighting style. But at the far end, she spotted something that looked vaguely familiar. A simple staff with electrodes at both ends. It resembled the shock batons used in riot control back on Earth. She pointed to it. "That one." The official made a sound that might have been laughter. "The neural disruptor, a poor choice. It's damaged, only operates at half capacity, but it's your funeral human." Maya took the weapon, feeling its weight. It was lighter than it looked, almost perfectly balanced. The power cell indicator showed it was indeed barely functioning, but even a weak electrical charge was better than nothing. "Match begins in 2 minutes, the official announced. "May your death be entertaining." Maya was escorted to a small holding chamber. Through a force field, she could see the arena itself, a massive circular space filled with various terrains, rocky outcroppings, shallow pools of liquid patches of vegetation. The stands surrounding it were filled with thousands of aliens, their excited chatter creating a deafening roar. An announcer's voice boomed throughout the chamber. And now, patrons of the Kandavar, we present a special exhibition match. From the primitive world of Terra, a human female will face the trials of dominance place. Your bets now survival estimates project less than 5 standard minutes. The crowd roared with anticipation and amusement. Maya tightened her grip on the neural disruptor. 5 minutes. She'd give them something to remember. The force field disappeared, and Maya stepped forward into the arena. The artificial atmosphere hit her like a wall, lightly heavier gravity than Earth's, with an acrid smell that burned her nostrils. The distant sun of this system cast a reddish glow over everything, creating long, distorted shadows. "Begin with the first trial," the announcer proclaimed. A section of the arena floor slid open, and a creature emerged that made Maya's blood run cold. It resembled an earth tiger in size and predatory grace, but with 6 legs, armored scales, and of fur, and 3 sets of eyes that glowed with unnatural intelligence. Its mouth opened to reveal rows of serrated teeth. The crowd cheered as the beast stalked toward her. Its movements calculated and patient. Maya recognized a hunter's strategy. It was sizing her up, looking for weaknesses. Maya had faced wild animals during survival training. The key was to appear neither threatening nor weak. She held her ground, the neural disruptor at her side, and slowly began to circle, maintaining eye contact with the central pair of eyes. The beast suddenly lunged faster than she had anticipated. Maya rolled to the side, barely avoiding its claws. The crowd roared with approval. The creature spun around with unnatural agility and charged again. This time, Maya stood her ground until the last possible moment, before diving aside simultaneously, swinging the neural disruptor. The electrified end made contact with the creature's flank. A shower of sparks erupted, and the beast let out a high-pitched shriek that made the arena vibrate. But the damaged weapon hadn't delivered enough charge to incapacitate the animal. It seemed only to enrage it further. The beast whirled its tail, lashing out and catching Maya across the back. The impact sent her sprawling, knocking the air from her lungs. Pain flared across her shoulder blades. The crowd's excitement grew louder. Maya scrambled to her feet, clutching the neural disruptor in a white-knuckled grip. She needed a new strategy. The arena floor contained various elements she could use. A pool of liquid nearby, some kind of viscous substance, might slow the creature down. The rocky outcroppings could provide shelter. But what caught her military-trained eye was a patch of vegetation that looked strangely metallic, reflecting the reddish sunlight. The beast circled, preparing for another attack. Maya feinted to the left, then sprinted for the metallic vegetation. As the creature pounced, she slid beneath the largest of the plants and thrust the neural disruptor upward. The electrical field connected with the metallic leaves, instantly amplifying the charge. When the beast made contact, the effect was dramatic. Electrical energy coursed through its armored body, causing it to convulse violently before collapsing, twitching to the ground. A stunned silence fell over the arena, quickly replaced by a mixture of cheers and angry shouts. Maya realized many had bet against her surviving even this first challenge. Impossible. The announcer's voice betrayed genuine shock. The human has defeated the Kazark beast, a unexpected development. Maya didn't waste time celebrating. She examined the neural disruptor. The power cell was now completely drained, after the surge rendering the weapon useless, except as a blunt instrument. She needed to improvise. The fallen beast's scales caught her attention. They were thick, flexible, and appeared to be heat-resistant. Using the now powerless neural disruptor as a lever, she pried several large scales loose from the creature's flank. "Prepare for the second trial," the announcer called, an edge of excitement now present in its voice. Another section of the arena floor opened, and a different kind of threat emerged. 3 humanoid robots, each twice Maya's height, activated simultaneously. Their metallic bodies gleamed in the red sunlight, and their featureless faces swiveled toward her with mechanical precision. "Combat units programmed for termination," the announcer explained. "Let's see how the human fares against technology." Maya's mind raced. Her weapon was useless against machines, and physical strength would be meaningless. But she had observed something important. The robot's joints appeared to be their weakness, with visible gaps in the protective plating. The combat units began to advance in perfect synchronization. Maya retreated toward the pool of viscous liquid she had noticed earlier. As the first robot stepped into the shallow pool, its movements immediately slowed. The liquid had greater resistance than it appeared. Maya seized her opportunity. She lunged forward, sliding between the slowed robot's legs, and jammed one of the beast's scales into the knee joint. The robot attempted to turn, but the scale prevented full articulation. It stumbled off balance. The other two units moved to flank her. Maya grabbed handfuls of the viscous liquid and flung them at the robot's visual sensors. The substance clung to their faceplates, obscuring their targeting systems. The crowd's reaction was changing. What had begun as amused contempt was evolving into genuine interest. Some were even cheering for the human now, not out of compassion, but appreciation for skilled combat. Maya continued her guerrilla tactics, using the environment and the robot's own strength against them. When one unit fired an energy blast, she ducked, causing it to hit another unit instead. When they attempted to corner her, she led them into the metallic vegetation, where their heavy footfalls became entangled. One by one, she disabled them, jamming Bawo beast scales into joints, short-circuiting systems, with the conductive plants causing them to damage each other in their relentless pursuit. Within minutes, all three combat units lay defeated or malfunctioning. The arena fell silent again, but only momentarily. Then a thunderous ovation erupted, not from all spectators, but enough to make the arena vibrate. Maya stood amidst the wreckage of her opponents, breathing hard, her body aching, but her mind sharp. "Extraordinaire!" The announcer could not conceal its astonishment. "The human has survived the second trial, through cunning rather than strength. Perhaps this primitive species has more potential than our scientists believed." Maya took advantage of the brief respite to scavenge useful components from the fallen robots. A power cell here, a sharp edge of metal there. She quickly fashioned a crude but effective energy blade using the neural disruptor's handle and the robot's power source. In the control room overlooking the arena master, a high-ranking Coraxian named Valzarin, watched with growing interest. What had begun as a routine execution, the spectacle, was becoming something unprecedented. "This is unexpected," Valzarin remarked to his subordinates. "The human female displays tactical thinking far beyond our intelligence assessments of her species." "Should we terminate the match?" asked an aide. Valzarin's 4 eyes narrowed. "No. Increase the difficulty. Let's see how far this creature's abilities extend." Back in the arena, Maya sensed the change in atmosphere. The crowd was no longer simply entertained. They were engaged, invested in the outcome. Some were even chanting something that her translator picked up as Earth Warrior. For the third trial. The announcer's voice carried an undercurrent of tension now. The human will face the elements themselves. The arena floor began to shift dramatically. Sections rose and fell, creating treacherous terrain. The temperature plummeted in one quadrant while soaring in another. Toxic gas began to seep from vents, and electrical discharges arced between metal pylons that emerged from the ground. Maya quickly assessed the new dangers. The cold zone would slow her reactions. The hot zone would dehydrate her rapidly. The gas would kill her if inhaled, and the electrical discharges could stop her heart. She needed higher ground. Using the improvised energy blade, she cut handholds into one of the rising terrain sections and began to climb. The blade sliced through the material with surprising ease, leaving molten edges that quickly cooled into solid grips. From her elevated position, Maya could see the pattern to the arena's transformations. It wasn't random. There was a sequence, a rhythm to how the dangers rotated through the space. With her military training in pattern recognition, she began to anticipate the shifts. The crowd watched in amazement as the human navigated the deadly obstacles with preternatural awareness. She seemed to know where the electrical discharges would strike before they happened. She held her breath precisely when toxic gas flooded her area. She used the temperature extremes to her advantage, luring pursuer drones into zones where they would malfunction. "This is impossible," muttered Valzarin in the control room. "She can't be predicting the environmental matrix. It's too complex." But Maya was doing exactly that. Years of military training had honed her ability to identify patterns in chaos. The arena's deadly elements were sophisticated but ultimately programmed, and all programs had patterns. When the third trial concluded, Maya stood unscathed atop a pillar of terrain, her improvised weapon glowing at her side. The crowd's reaction had transformed completely. What had begun as bloodthirsty anticipation of a quick execution had become admiration, even awe. "The human survives again." The announcer could not keep excitement from its voice. 3 trials over him through intelligence and adaptation. In the VIP observation deck, members of the Alliance High Council were now paying attention. What had been dismissed as a minor diversion was becoming a cultural moment. "Fascinating," remarked Councillor Zesh, "an ancient being with crystalline features. Perhaps our assessment of Earth's potential has been flawed." Maya had no time to appreciate her growing fan base. She knew the worst was yet to come. In the arena's hierarchy of challenges, the final trial would be the deadliest. And now, the announcer's voice held a new gravity for the final trial. The human female will face the apex predator. The center of the arena split open, and a platform slowly rose from below. Upon it stood a monstrosity that made Maya's blood freeze. It was a chimeric fusion of multiple predatory species enhanced with cybernetic implants that pulsed with energy. Standing 3 times her height, its body combined the worst features of reptile, insect, and mammalian hunters. Multiple limbs ended in razor claws or prehensile tentacles. Its head housed several sets of eyes, each adapted for different types of vision, and its maw contained acid sacs visible above rows of teeth. "The apex has never been defeated," the announcer informed the now hushed crowd. "It adapts to its opponent's strategies in real time. Its neural network learns from every movement, every attack." Maya felt true fear for the first time since entering the arena. This wasn't just a dangerous creature or a programmed challenge. This was an opponent designed specifically to be unbeatable to counter any strategy she might employ. The apex studied her with cold intelligence, its cybernetic components humming as they analyzed her stance, her weapon, her physical capabilities. Then it moved with devastating speed, covering half the arena in a single bound. Maya barely dodged the initial attack, rolling away as claws tore through the space she had occupied a split second earlier. The apex adjusted instantly, a tentacle whipping out to trip her as she rose. She slashed at the tentacle with her energy blade, severing it cleanly. But instead of recoiling in pain, the apex seemed to analyze the weapon. Its next attack carefully avoided the glowing edge. Maya realized with growing dread that the announcer hadn't been exaggerating. The creature was learning, adapting to her technique with each exchange. She couldn't rely on the same tricks that had worked against previous opponents. The crowd watched in tense silence as human and monster emerged in a deadly dance across the arena. Maya used every terrain feature to her advantage, leaping from outcroppings, sliding under obstacles, creating barriers between herself and her pursuer. But the apex methodically countered each tactic, cutting off escape routes, anticipating her movements. A tentacle caught her ankle, sending her crashing to the ground. Her improvised weapon skittered away beyond reach. The apex loomed over her, its maw opening to reveal the acid sacs preparing to discharge. In that moment, with death seemingly inevitable, Maya's mind cleared. She had been playing by the arena's rules, trying to defeat the apex through combat. But her true strength had never been direct confrontation. It was adaptation observation. Using the environment itself as a weapon. Her eyes locked onto the beast's cybernetic components. They followed a familiar design pattern similar to the combat units she had disabled earlier, and those components connected to the creature's organic parts through interface nodes that glowed with energy. The apex lunged for the kill. Maya, instead of attempting to dodge, rolled directly toward it under its guard. As she passed beneath its massive body, she grabbed one of the fallen tentacles and jammed it into the primary interface node where machine met flesh. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The severed tentacle, still biologically active and containing the creature's own neural transmitters, created a feedback loop in the cybernetic system. The apex convulsed violently, its coordinated movements dissolving into chaotic spasms as organic and mechanical components fought for control. Maya scrambled away, retrieving her weapon. The apex was not defeated. It was rapidly trying to recalibrate, to purge the conflicting neural signals. She had only moments before it would recover. She scanned the arena desperately. The various trials had left debris scattered throughout robot parts, beast scales, conductive plants. An idea formed, dangerous, probably suicidal, but her only chance. Working with frantic speed, Maya assembled components from the defeated combat units, connecting them to the power source from her energy blade. She integrated the conductive metallic plants, creating a network across a section of the arena floor. Finally, she positioned the beast scales as insulators to create a safe path through the electrified zone. The apex recovered from the neural disruption and located her once more. It approached more cautiously now, its programming recognizing her as a genuine threat rather than easy prey. It tested each step, aware that she might have laid traps. Maya stood her ground at the center of her improvised electrical grid. The apex circled once, twice, analyzing the terrain. Then it charged multiple limbs, extended to ensure she couldn't escape. At the last possible moment, Maya activated the power source and leapt onto her insulated path. Electrical energy surged through the conductive network, creating a web of lethal current. The apex, already committed to its attack, plunged directly into the electrified zone. The resulting discharge was so powerful that the arena's lights momentarily dimmed. The apex cybernetic components overloaded, instantly exploding in showers of sparks. Its organic parts, unable to withstand the massive electrical surge, convulsed and burned. When the energy finally dissipated, the apex predator, the undefeated champion of the arena, lay motionless, defeated by a human female, armed with nothing but scavenged parts and tactical intelligence. The silence that followed was absolute. 50,000 spectators representing hundreds of alien species sat in stunned disbelief. Then, like a wave, building from multiple points, cheering erupted, starting with a few voices and swelling until it shook the very foundations of the arena. Maya stood amid the wreckage of her final opponent, her body battered but unbowed. She raised her head to look directly at the control room, where she knew the officials would be watching. The arena master Valzarin found himself experiencing an emotion he had never felt toward a lesser species' respect. He activated the arena-wide communication system, his voice echoing throughout the vast space. The human has conquered the Kandavar. All 4 trials, including the apex predator. This has never happened in the 15,000 cycles of the arena's existence. The crowd's reaction intensified, becoming a primal roar of approval. Species that moments ago had bet on Maya's quick demise now chanted her name or approximations of it through their various vocal organs. In the High Council's observation deck, the representatives of the Alliance's most powerful civilizations conferred urgently. "This changes everything," Counselor Zesh stated. "Our classification of Earth must be reconsidered. Any species that can produce a warrior of this caliber cannot be dismissed as primitive." Maya was escorted from the arena, not as a prisoner, but as a champion. The same guards who had treated her with contempt now maintained a respectful distance. Medical drones attended to her injuries, applying advanced healing compounds that closed wounds and eased pain almost instantly. She was brought to a chamber where Arena Master Valzarin waited. His forearms clasped in a gesture that her translator identified as ceremonial respect. "You have done the impossible, human," Valzarin stated. "You have changed how the Alliance will view your species." Maya met his gaze steadily. "My name is Maya Sinclair, and I did what any trained human soldier would do. I adapted and survived." "Perhaps," Valzarin acknowledged, "but in doing so, you have earned more than your life. The traditions of the Khandavar are clear. Any being who conquers all trials is granted citizenship in the Alliance and freedom to determine their own path forward." Maya thought of Earth, of how the Alliance had been observing her planet from the shadows. "And what of my world will the Alliance continue to abduct humans for entertainment?" Valzarin's expression shifted in a way her translator couldn't quite interpret. "Your victory has triggered an emergency session of the High Council. Earth's classification is being reassessed as we speak. It is likely that formal contact will be initiated within a planetary cycle." "Not as conquerors, I hope?" Maya's voice carried a clear warning. "No," Valzarin responded. "Your performance has demonstrated that such an approach would be inadvisable. Instead, diplomatic channels will be established. Your people will be invited to join the galactic community as equals, not subjects." The implications were enormous. One human's refusal to die as expected had potentially changed the destiny of her entire species. "And what happens to me now?" Maya asked. "That is for you to decide," Valzarin replied. "You could return to Earth as a herald of what is to come, or you could accept the traditional reward, a position of honor within the Alliance military, perhaps as a tactical advisor. Your methods in the arena revealed approaches our strategists had never considered." Maya considered the options. Going home would mean reuniting with her world, but also facing the challenge of explaining what was coming, an upheaval in humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. Staying would mean helping shape the relationship between Earth and the Alliance, from within ensuring her planet entered galactic society on favorable terms. "I need time to decide," she finally said. "Of course," Valzarin agreed. "But know this, Maya Sinclair of Earth, regardless of your choice, you have earned the respect of the Alliance today. When your world joins our community, it will do so with honor in no small part because of you." As Maya was escorted to luxurious quarters, a far cry from the cell she had occupied previously, she reflected on the strange path that had brought her here. From captured specimen to arena fodder to respected warrior in the span of a single day. The universe was larger and more complex than humanity had imagined, filled with dangers, but also possibilities. And now, because one human had refused to be a victim, Earth would enter this wider cosmos not as a conquered primitive world, but as a recognized equal with something valuable to contribute. Maya looked out at the stars through her chamber's viewport. The same stars that had seemed oppressive in her prison cell now sparkled with promise and potential. Whatever she decided to return home or to remain among the stars, she had changed the future for her entire species. The girl they had thrown into the Apex arena as entertainment had in just 5 minutes begun to rule not just the battlefield, but the perceptions of an entire galactic society. And that was just the beginning of humanity's journey among the stars.